The case of Marlene Warren's murder, often referred to as the killer clown case, is as bizarre as it is tragic. On May 26, 1990, in Wellington, Florida, Marlene Warren was at her home when she answered the door to a clown carrying flowers and balloons. The seemingly cheerful figure was there not to entertain but to commit a heinous act. The clown shot Marlene in the face and then calmly walked back to a white Chrysler LeBaron and drove away. Marlene later died at the hospital. The case went cold for many years, but it was never forgotten. The investigation initially had few leads, despite the peculiar circumstances. Witnesses could not identify the clown, as the costume included a wig, a red nose, and white face paint, which effectively obscured the assailant's identity. The case took a significant turn in 2017 when Sheila Keene Warren was arrested in Virginia. Sheila, who was married to Michael Warren, Marlene's widower, at the time of her arrest, became a prime suspect early in the investigation. It was rumored that she and Michael were having an affair before Marlene's murder, although Michael was not in town when the murder occurred. Sheila had worked for Michael's used car business, and one of the balloons delivered to Marlene on the day of the murder matched those available at a car dealership where Sheila worked. Moreover, the white Chrysler LeBaron was found abandoned, and fibers from a bright orange wig were discovered inside the car. Despite these clues, it took nearly 3 decades to gather enough evidence to make an arrest. In 2017, advances in DNA technology and a re-examination of the evidence led to Sheila's arrest. The prosecutors alleged that she dressed as a clown and killed Marlene, although the motive remained officially unclear. Sheila Keene Warren was charged with first-degree murder, and as of my last update, she was awaiting trial. This case is a stark reminder of how appearances can be deceiving and how the truth can sometimes take years to surface. It's a story that has captured the attention of true crime enthusiasts around the world, not only for its unusual circumstances but also for the long arc of justice that has been bending ever since that fateful day. On the day of the murder, May 26, 1990, Marlene Warren was at her home in Wellington, Florida, when a clown carrying flowers and balloons appeared at her doorstep. This clown was not there to spread joy but to commit a grave crime. As Marlene Warren reached out to receive what she might have assumed was a festive gesture, the clown pulled out a gun and shot her in the face. Marlene's son witnessed the shocking event, which added an even more traumatic layer to the already horrifying act. The clown, whose identity was obscured by the costume, wig, and makeup, then calmly walked away from the scene, leaving behind a scene of chaos and confusion. The clown got into a white Chrysler LeBaron and drove off, leaving witnesses and the community to grapple with the surreal and brutal nature of the crime. The balloons, one of which was reported to be a silver one that read "You're the greatest," and the flowers became eerie symbols of a murder that would haunt the area for decades. This chilling event set off a complex investigation as law enforcement worked to piece together the identity of the killer behind the clown mask. It would take nearly 30 years before an arrest would be made, linking Sheila Keene Warren to the crime, a woman who later married Marlene Warren's widower, Michael Warren. The case, with its mix of suburban normalcy and the macabre, has been a source of both fascination and horror, demonstrating the lengths to which someone might go to disguise their deadly intentions behind a facade of festivity and fun. The initial investigation into Marlene Warren's murder was as perplexing as the crime itself. After the shocking event where a clown shot Marlene in front of her son, law enforcement began piecing together the evidence. Despite the bizarre nature of the crime, with the assailant wearing a clown costume, the case quickly went cold. Early on, 2 suspects were identified: Sheila Keene, who would later become Sheila Keene Warren after marrying Marlene's widower, and Michael Warren, Marlene's husband at the time of her death. However, due to the lack of conclusive evidence and the challenges posed by the disguise of the clown costume, no immediate arrests were made. The public was horrified by the brutality of the crime, especially given its unusual circumstances. A clown, typically a symbol of joy and entertainment, became the face of a murder mystery that would remain unsolved for decades. The case captivated Florida residents and true crime enthusiasts worldwide, with many speculating on the identity and motive of the killer clown. Despite identifying suspects, the case remained at a standstill for years. It wasn't until advancements in DNA technology and a renewed push by investigators that the case saw significant development. In 2017, Sheila Keene Warren was arrested, and the case that had once gone cold was reignited, leading to a guilty plea in 2023. The initial stages of the investigation are a testament to the complexities of solving a crime with such a unique set of circumstances and the persistence required to pursue justice, even when leads seem to disappear. The breakthrough in the case came with the advancement of DNA technology. Decades after the murder of Marlene Warren, investigators were able to make a critical connection between Sheila Keene Warren and the crime. A new analysis of evidence found that hair fibers from Sheila Keene's apartment matched those recovered from the getaway car used by the killer clown. This evidence, along with other accumulated over the years, led to the arrest of Sheila Keene Warren on September 26, 2017, a full 27 years after the murder. The arrest was a significant development in a case that had long gone cold and seemed destined to remain unsolved. The persistence of law enforcement and the use of modern forensic techniques were instrumental in bringing new life to the investigation. Sheila Keene Warren, who had since married Michael Warren, Marlene's widower, was finally held accountable for a crime that had shocked the community and remained a mystery for nearly 3 decades. The case's reopening and subsequent arrest highlighted the importance of revisiting cold cases with new technologies and perspectives, offering a measure of closure to those affected by the crime and reinforcing the message that justice, even if delayed, is still attainable. Sheila Keene Warren's background and her connection to the case of Marlene Warren's murder are both intriguing and complex. Sheila Keene, who later became Sheila Keene Warren, was an employee of Michael Warren, Marlene's husband, at his used car dealership. There were rumors and reports of her being seen in romantic embraces with Michael Warren, although both denied having a relationship at the time of Marlene's murder. Despite their denials, the relationship between Sheila Keene and Michael Warren continued to be a point of interest in the investigation. In a twist that seemed to come straight out of a crime novel, Sheila and Michael married in 2002, 12 years after Marlene's murder. This development raised eyebrows and suspicions, given the circumstances surrounding Marlene's death. Sheila Keene Warren's past and her eventual marriage to Michael Warren became a focal point in the narrative of the case, especially after her arrest in 2017, when she was charged with Marlene's murder. The case against her was strengthened by the DNA evidence that linked her to the crime, leading to her guilty plea in 2023. The background of Sheila Keene Warren, her relationship with the victim's husband, and their subsequent marriage are key elements that add layers of complexity and intrigue to this already baffling case. The progression from employee to suspect, and then to wife of the widower, paints a picture of a tangled web of relationships that would eventually become central to solving the decades-old mystery. The trial of Sheila Keene Warren was a significant event, marked by a surprising plea deal that brought a close to the case after 33 years. Sheila Keene Warren, at the age of 59, pleaded guilty to second-degree murder as part of a plea agreement that was reached just weeks before her trial was set to begin. The evidence presented during the court proceedings was compelling. It included DNA advancements that linked Sheila Keene Warren to the crime, as well as other circumstantial evidence that had been gathered over the years. The plea deal was unexpected, especially considering that Sheila Keene Warren had been facing a first-degree murder charge with the possibility of the death penalty. The reactions from those involved in the original case were mixed. For some, the plea deal provided a sense of closure and justice, albeit delayed. For others, there was a sense of disbelief and shock at the turn of events, particularly given the bizarre nature of the crime and the long period that had elapsed since the murder. The plea deal stipulated that Sheila Keene Warren would likely be released from prison within a year or two, a fact that was met with varying degrees of acceptance. The case, which had been postponed multiple times, highlighted the complexities of the legal system and the impact of technological advancements on the pursuit of justice. The trial and its outcome were a culmination of years of investigation and legal maneuvering, finally bringing resolution to a case that had haunted the community and remained in the public consciousness for over 3 decades. The forensic evidence in the case against Sheila Keene Warren was pivotal in linking her to the 1990 murder of Marlene Warren. The most crucial piece of evidence was a single strand of hair. This hair, found in the getaway car, became a significant lead in the case. The vehicle, a white Chrysler LeBaron, was discovered abandoned in a parking lot days after the murder. Inside the car, investigators found not only the hair but also orange fibers that matched the description of the clown wig worn by the assailant. The hair and fibers were preserved as part of the evidence collected at the time. Decades later, advances in DNA technology allowed for more detailed analysis, which ultimately connected Sheila Keene Warren to the crime. This forensic link was one of the key factors that led to her arrest in 2017. The defense team for Sheila Keene Warren had raised concerns about the handling of the evidence, suggesting potential contamination or tampering. However, the strength of the forensic evidence, particularly the hair that matched Keene Warren's DNA, was a deciding factor in the case moving forward. The use of forensic science, especially DNA profiling, has revolutionized the way cold cases are approached, allowing for breakthroughs in investigations that had long been considered unsolvable. The killer clown case is a prime example of how persistence in evidence preservation and advancements in technology can lead to justice, even after many years. The public reaction to the developments in the Sheila Keene Warren case has been a mix of shock, intrigue, and a sense of long-delayed justice. The case, often referred to as the killer clown case, has captivated the community and the nation for years, particularly due to its unusual and chilling details. When Sheila Keene Warren was arrested in 2017, More than 2 decades after the murder of Marlene Warren, the community was astounded that the case had finally seen a significant breakthrough. The bizarre nature of the crime, a woman shot by someone dressed as a clown, had left an indelible mark on the public consciousness. The plea deal in 2023, which led to Sheila Keene Warren's guilty plea to second-degree murder, brought a mix of emotions. For some, there was relief that justice was being served, albeit many years later. For others, there was frustration that the case took so long to resolve, with some feeling that the plea deal was not enough for such a heinous crime. The case's resolution was particularly poignant for the victim's family, who had waited over 3 decades for closure. The community's reaction was also shaped by the loss of Marlene Warren's mother, Shirley Twing, who passed away just months before the plea deal was reached, never seeing the case's conclusion. Nationally, the case has been featured in true crime documentaries and news segments, often highlighting the long road to justice and the advancements in forensic science that helped solve the case. The killer clown case remains a stark reminder of the persistence needed in cold cases and the impact such crimes have on families and communities. Even many years later, the sentencing of Sheila Keene Warren brought a complex mix of emotions and a sense of closure to the decades-long killer clown case. In a surprising turn of events, Keene Warren, at the age of 59, entered a guilty plea to second-degree murder as part of a plea deal. This deal, unexpected by many, concluded a case that had been strange even by Florida's standards. The plea agreement stipulated that Keene Warren would be sentenced to 12 years in prison, a decision that likely means she will be released within a year or two, considering the time already served since her arrest in 2017. This outcome was a significant shift from the earlier possibility of facing the death penalty or life in prison. For Marlene Warren's family, the sentencing provided a form of closure, though it was not without its controversies. Some family members and observers felt that the sentence was not commensurate with the gravity of the crime committed. Nevertheless, the guilty plea marked the end of a long and painful chapter for those who knew Marlene Warren, as they finally saw the person responsible for her murder held accountable in court. The community's reaction to the sentencing was varied, with some expressing relief that the case was resolved, while others debated the adequacy of the sentence given the heinous nature of the crime. The case's conclusion also prompted discussions about the legal system's handling of cold cases and plea deals. The killer clown case remains a poignant reminder of the enduring impact of violent crime on families and communities, and the sentencing of Sheila Keene Warren will likely continue to be a topic of discussion for years to come. The case of Sheila Keene Warren, dubbed the killer clown case, has left an indelible mark on the true crime genre and the public's psyche. The bizarre and brutal murder of Marlene Warren in 1990 by a perpetrator dressed as a clown not only captured the media's attention but also sparked a media frenzy that lasted for decades. The case's sensational elements, the clown costume, the cold-blooded murder, and the subsequent marriage of the killer to the victim's husband, seemed like the twisted plot of a horror movie, which only fueled the public's and media's fascination. The media coverage was extensive and often lurid, with each development in the case reigniting the story's prominence in the news cycle. The eventual arrest and sentencing of Sheila Keene Warren, coming nearly 3 decades after the crime, provided a dramatic conclusion to a story that many had followed since the beginning. It also prompted a reflection on the nature of media coverage of true crime stories, the public's appetite for such stories, and the ethical considerations involved in reporting on real-life tragedies. The killer clown case has become a part of true crime history, often cited in discussions about the genre's impact on society and culture. It raises questions about the line between public interest and sensationalism, the role of the media in shaping perceptions of crime and justice, and the broader implications of how true crime stories are consumed and remembered. As this case concludes, it serves as a reminder of the power of storytelling in true crime and the responsibility that comes with recounting events that, for the families involved, are much more than just a story. The motive behind Marlene Warren's murder may have been rooted in domestic violence, a factor that is often a grim undercurrent in such tragic events. While the details of the Warren household's dynamics are private, the fact that Sheila Keene Warren later married Marlene's husband, Michael Warren, after the murder suggests a complex and possibly tumultuous relationship. This aspect of the case highlights the insidious nature of domestic violence and how it can escalate to the most extreme outcomes. The media played a pivotal role in keeping the killer clown case in the public eye. Over the years, the continuous coverage and revisiting of the case details kept the memory of the crime alive, ensuring it remained part of the collective consciousness. This persistent media attention may have contributed to the pressure on law enforcement to revisit cold cases and can sometimes lead to breakthroughs, as seen when new forensic technology brought renewed focus to the evidence in this case, eventually leading to Sheila Keene Warren's arrest. The media's role in such cases is a double-edged sword, providing both the potential for sensationalism and the power to galvanize public interest and investigative momentum. The killer clown case was a testament to the evolution of forensic science and its impact on the legal system. Over the years, advancements in DNA analysis and forensic genealogy have become game changers in solving cold cases. In this case, it was the meticulous preservation of evidence and the application of modern forensic techniques that eventually led to a breakthrough, allowing for a decades-old hair sample to connect Sheila Keene Warren to the crime, despite the initial lack of conclusive evidence at the time of the murder. The legacy of the killer clown case is indelibly etched into the annals of true crime. It stands as a stark reminder that justice, although sometimes delayed, is not necessarily denied. The case has been the subject of numerous true crime shows and documentaries, contributing to its mythos and serving as a cautionary tale about the potential for human malice to hide behind the most unsuspecting facades. It underscores the importance of perseverance in the pursuit of justice, and the role that forensic science plays in uncovering the truth. As we close the chapter on this harrowing tale of deceit, disguise, and delayed justice, I invite you to share your thoughts on the case. What does this story evoke in you? How does it shape your understanding of justice and the advancements in forensic science? Join the conversation in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more deep dives into the most compelling true crime stories. Your engagement helps keep these important discussions alive and ensures that the victims are never forgotten.